Hello and Dilek. Welcome to the fourth episode of Tibet TV. I'm your host, Tenzin Choki. Today's segment is called the Community and Youth Engagement episode. We have two guests here, Sonam Wangila and Kasan Dogola. Welcome both of you. Sonam used to be the former captain for Team Tibet, came here in 2001. In 2010, he started the first ever Tibetan soccer camp for under 18 in Parkdale. Parkdale is the area in where majority of our Tibetans live in Toronto. And then in 2015, he started another summer soccer camp for kids, for boys and girls between 4 to 12. And also, I had the pleasure of knowing him during our GCM, first ever GC North America Soccer Tournament. He was instrumental. He was actually the chief organizer of that tournament. So, welcome, Sonamla. And Gyosanla she's been here only 2.5 years, I must say, but like she's already on the board for Tibetan Canadian Cultural Center. Mm-hmm. Right now, she serves in her capacity as the cultural coordinator, but before coming here, she was the first female president for Tibetan Community Association in Italy. So welcome both of you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask the first question actually to Kyosanla.
Okay.
If you can tell us a little bit about the Tibetan Canadian Cultural Center.
Right. So Tibetan Canadian Cultural Center, as the name suggests, is a center for Tibetans in Canada. And not only just Tibetans in Canada, but also for Canadians, but mainly for Tibetans in Canada, as a hub to get involved with anything to do with Tibetan identity. It has a long history. In the 70s, when the first Tibetans came to Canada, they did a really good job, because if they had not taken the responsibility to carry forward the Tibetan culture, I think by now we wouldn't be seeing this Tibetan Canadian Cultural Center. So I think all thanks go to the first Tibetan settlers who came here. They tried to keep up this Tibetan spirit, and then we didn't have a center. And then the time goes, and in 2004, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he bestowed Kala Chakra in Toronto, and there was this proposed Tibetan Community Center to be established, and His Holiness gave this precious name Kangjong Chöndeleng. And in 2007, finally, on the October the 17th, when His Holiness was actually awarded the U.S. Congressional Gold Medal, that very day, Tibetan Canadian Cultural Center was established. So when we celebrate the founding day of the Tibetan Canadian Cultural Center, we also celebrate and commemorate the gold medal. And then the Tibetan Canadian Cultural Center is mainly focused to preserve, to foster, and then share the Tibetan culture, that specifically saying the culture of respect, humility, and compassion.
All right, thank you. I'm going to go to Sonamla, and I know Sonamla is a big sports enthusiast, so I wanted to ask you, what motivates you?
Before I answer that, I'd like to give a bit of a background in terms of the evolution of the sports. I was born in India as a refugee, and like many of the thousands of Tibetans who actually came to India because of a direct impact of illegal occupation because of the Chinese Communist government, along with His Holiness Dalai Lama, who's now a Nobel Peace Laureate. And so that was how the story begins, because back in India, in late 1990s, there was a selection for a Tibetan national football team, which is soccer primarily in North America. And that's when I was fortunate enough to be a part of the first Tibetan national soccer team. And we toured countries like Italy, Germany, and Denmark, and Switzerland, and really promoted our cause and our culture through a very different lens, which is sports. So that is something that I bring to Canada when I immigrated in 2001, and that's when my sort of passion began. I was, again, came to Canada as a refugee, and got a paper, and I was in Parkdale community. And one of the things that I saw in the Parkdale community is that, like any other immigrant parents, they're very hardworking parents, and the first objective of that parent is to stabilize and bring some sort of a financial stability within their family. So they're very preoccupied in working and making sure that the kids have a better family and a better future. Along that way, what I noticed was that the younger generation, ranging from 14 to 18, the boys and girls, they tend to get left out when this sort of a struggle happens in an immigrant family. So in 2010, I started this program where I want to do a pilot project where I focus on the kids who are under 18 years old, only boys back then, and build up a team. And I was proud to say that we had run up 25 kids in the Parkdale neighborhood. And now they're all going to colleges, universities. It's very proud, and they're very engaged with the community. And I think sports it's one segue where you really connect with the youth and really bring the good side of the youth. So that's how I started in Parkdale. Yeah.
All right. So, but what keeps you different? Okay, so I'll come back to the question later. But Gilsala, I know that you serve right now as the cultural coordinator for the Tibetan Center, but education coordinator for the Tibetan Community Center. So tell me, why did you choose to be the education coordinator?
Okay, so first thing, I was very new to Canada. It was just a few months that I was here. And then the president asked me to join the team of the board members. So reluctantly, I joined because I feel serving the Tibetan community is my passion. It's in my blood. So when I joined the board, I just reflected upon it. What can I do to this community? I really don't know much about this, and I'm very new. And then I just looked inside, and I found that I was a teacher in the Tibetan school in India. So I said, okay, so the field of education is what I can really contribute into. So I said, okay, I can take the role of the education coordinator. And I think I'm very happy about it. It was challenging, but still, I'm really happy about it. I can really contribute, I think, and it is making a difference. So that's why.
So can you tell me a little bit about the programs that you do at the Tibetan Center? Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Tibetan Canadian Culture Center has, we call it TCCC Sunday School. So we have our children coming every Sunday to the school, and in the morning it's the language school, and in the afternoon we do performing arts classes. So right from morning at 10 until 5, our children, they are at the center, and we begin the day with prayers. And it's just not a rote recitation of prayer. We have a teacher who explains the text and everything. So I think that's making a big effect on our children. So they pray. And then every class we have this meditation. So we don't do like high level meditation, but still we make our children concentrate, and we do this meditation. Right now we are doing the meditation on breathing, just focusing on breathing, and it's really going very well. Then we start the classes. So we have like 2 segments of classes. In the morning we do reading and writing Tibetan text and that, and then in the session after the break we do speaking and listening, and then we break for an hour for lunch, and then we come back and do the performing arts classes. So right now we have like 271 Tibetan children in the school. So they learn Tibetan, they learn how to sing, they learn how to dance Tibetan dances. Yeah, so that's what we do. And yeah, one more thing we have when we talk about the program is we also have a Buddhist philosophy classes going on. So every Saturday and every Sunday we have, and this is not for the youth, but it's for the adults. So we have Buddhist philosophy classes going on, and we are very fortunate to be in Toronto because we have a wonderful teacher who leads these classes. One more thing, we also have this, Tibetan opera studies done in the Sundays in the evening. Yeah, so it's a full.
It's a full day.
Yeah.
Okay, at the center. Sonamla, I've seen you, now because we've worked together for our GCN tournament. So I've seen you that you're very involved, in the community in terms of sports engagement. But tell me a little bit about the different challenges. You have started 2 summer soccer camps. Tell me a little bit about the challenges that you face when you start these programs, initiatives.
Yeah. So back in 2010 when I first started, there were a lot of unseen challenges and risks, especially when you're working with teenagers. It's not easy to motivate them. But what I've learned from the lessons that I experience is that when you connect with people, it doesn't matter what age group they're in, I think they really bring the good side of them. So that pilot project really worked out, and that batch of the soccer campers that I had is now actually executing all the programs that currently I have. So last year in 2015, we had, I targeted a program for 4 years to 12-year age bracket, boys and girls. We had approximately every weekend, we had around about 45 to 50 kids. And then the team that I had formed back in 2010, they were the guys to execute that program. So it's a really good way to sort of give back to the community and make the youth responsible and accountable and really connect with them. So that's really good. However, the challenge is that I'm always looking for a better field. I would love to do something next year in Parkdale community at the PCI school ground. I don't know the rigmarole or the process of how to get to the field. I don't know how to get the petition and speak to the right people and get that formal buy-in. I'm not too good at that. But I'm connecting with a lot of new people, and I think I'll get a lot of help. And hopefully next year, my plan is to reach out to the Parkdale community, not just the Tibetan, to all different backgrounds, because I know there's a huge need for it. I know there's a lot of kids that would benefit from such a program, and hopefully we'll be able to deliver next year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, like if there was any future initiatives that you're looking at, and I understand
that is the big one.
That is one of them. Okay,
yeah.
All right. So if there's anyone out there who wants to participate and support him, please reach out to Sonamla.
Please do so.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So, and Kyosala, I wanted to ask you, like, because I've taught at TCC, at the Tibetan Center, I have taught Tibetan language and cultural performances too. So I know there's a lot of challenges. Yeah. Personally, I've experienced it. So I wanted to ask you, as the education coordinator, like, what are the administrative challenges that you face?
Challenges are a lot. So first thing, TCC has come a long way from just being, a factory like way back, and now it has come a long way, but still it's in the process where, like, talking about Sunday school, we don't have classrooms. In a big hall, we have like 11 classes, spread all over. What is taught in this class is easily heard by the other. And then we have the kitchen and parent representatives. They are making lunch and preparing the meal, like the table. There is so much of distraction. The parents of the children, because we take 5-year-olds too as a student. So the parents of these 5-year-olds, they are all in the corridor talking.
So the program is for kids between what age?
Yeah, 5. It starts from 5 years old, but then we don't have a tab on. So. There is lots of distraction, and so I must say that the environment is not conducive to learning, not at all. But still, our teachers are doing a great job. Like, you have been a teacher, you know that. You really put in a lot of passion into it. Really, they are great. And then children are doing, I should say, their best, because with all these distractions, if still they're learning, I really consider, tell them, I consider you heroes. Like, despite all these odds you're keeping up your identity. I really appreciate them coming and really doing good. And a wonderful thing is, I started last year as education coordinator. We had just 160 plus, and this year we have like 270. So the numbers have grown so much, and I had to even stop the registration at a point, saying that I cannot take more number of children. So that's very sad that I had to do it. So that's a challenge. Another challenge is, it's a personal challenge too. I'm a full-time college student. I have my family responsibilities, and I'm a volunteer. So this thing have been going on for a while. Like, even my predecessor, Mr. Seringdondop, he also came up with a proposal saying that we must have a school administrator, for whom it's a work, and he can focus all his time and energy into it. I do my best. He has done his best, but how much can a volunteer do? So I do a lot. It's like a single-handedly, done thing. But then it really needs lots of time. So I would really appreciate if there is a possibility that there comes a education coordinator as a staff dealing with. I think things would be much better. And another challenge from the children perspective. They have these busy days. They have like commons and sports and swimming, everything, and on top of that, their parents. Some of them come voluntarily. Many of them are virtually forced by their by their parents to come. So like it's hard to motivate them just from the school. So if the school does not work as a team with the parents, our goal to make these children read, write, speak Tibetan and keep up the cultural values, it's not going to happen. It's just like we have like 30 days in a year in the school, and then rest of the days they are with their parents in the regular school. So it's like there's a need to have this network and a teamwork that really can improve a lot of things. So yeah, Sarda.
Talking about networking and keeping youth and kids engaged, I wanted to ask Sonamla, because I've seen Sonamla, she has a very good relationship with the first batch of kids that you have trained and coached, and now they're helping you coach, younger kids, right? And you have you have sustained a very good relationship with them. So how do you keep them engaged? And what are, if you can, there's so many, in our previous segment we talked about keeping youth engaged. If you can share your wisdom on how we would do it.
I think it's a limited wisdom, but I'll share it anyways. I think you have to connect with them. I think there has to be a certain common things, and that's reality. If the parents say and advise and give advices to their kids, but it's the same words are spoken by a coach or by a mentor who has no relationship with that parent, I think it hits the home run much more effective than a parent, because it's parents' job to be the role model. So I think it is important. So I appeal that all the folks watching this, if you have any sort of expertise in not just in sports or soccer or basketball or arts or singing, I think it is important to connect with the youth and connect with that passion. As soon as you have that passion, automatically the trust and the relationship fosters. And once that fosters, then anything is possible. So one of the objectives of my soccer sort of a camp and initiative is that once you build that trust and the relationship, then soccer is not just the only thing. It's good. It's great that I would have a good team, but I think once you have that connection, I think how to be a better citizen and what is a Canadian culture like, and I think those are the elements that you have to layer it on. But you can't just dump it on a kid. You have to build that relationship first and then slowly layer that on. And I think that will have a fuller impact on the kid's progression.
Because I have Kesala from the Tibetan Community Center and Sonamla who runs on his own soccer camps, but recently there was a collaboration and you had worked on bringing the first ever GCM North America soccer tournament to Toronto. Can you tell me a little bit about what was your what?
Yeah, so GCM literally means Jalil Chemo, which also means that it is a soccer tournament which is held in India in exile to commemorate and the memory of His Holiness Dalai Lama. So she was called the Great Mother, and it was one of the biggest tournament held in exile in India. And for the first time, a team in Toronto, in collaboration with the TCC, was able to bring this tournament to Toronto. And I think there are 10 people, really committed team members. Chokila is one of them. Really worked hard to bring that tournament here. But I think also is that because of that tournament, we were able to bring approximately 500 visitors from US to Toronto. And I think it is important that those 500 US visitors were seeing Toronto for the first time and experiencing Toronto for the first time. So that was an additional benefit to the program. But not only that, I think the younger Tibetan youth connected. Why is this tournament important? Because this is the first time ever that it was held in North America. So there were a lot of many benefits to bringing the program here in Toronto.
I really applaud your hard work and like having that vision to bring it here. So
I totally give the credit to the team. The team worked extremely hard, and without the team, it's literally impossible. Yeah.
And coming back to Kesala, you talked about the challenges that you face, at the Tibetan Center in running the programs. I also, have deep respect for the kids who go to school full time Monday to Friday, and they have the extracurricular activities, and then they have to come to the Tibetan Center on Sundays to do their Tibetan studies. So, and on a personal level, there are many challenges, right? But what motivates you, like, to keep on, doing the community work that you do?
First thing, as I said, like it's in my blood. The second thing is I see that I am by nature an activist, a more political activist, I should say. So for me, when I was working in Italy as the president, my main work was advocacy. So I went all over like schools, universities, community areas, and my major role was to talk about Tibet. And I felt very proud that I thought I'm giving voice to this voiceless Tibetans back in Tibet. So I have been very much in touch with what is happening in Tibet, and everybody, all of us know that like Tibetan language and identity, culture, everything is like arbitrarily being eliminated from Tibet by the Chinese government. And then we are living here in a free world. Country like Canada, what can be more, better opportunity to really keep up that identity. We have the freedom, we have the environment, and we have the support. So I think it's like, why not? If I don't do it here, how can I just stay? So that really motivates me, because I know that it's not just a school, it's just not just a curriculum, it's something more than that. It's really a lot more than that. You're keeping the very Tibetan identity alive, because it's not just the language we teach the values, we teach the religion, we teach like a lot of stuff along with the curriculum based language. And then when I came to Canada, because Italy doesn't have lots of Tibetans, when I came to Canada, Canada is like next to India and Nepal, like kind of like the biggest Tibetan settlement. And then like I see kids talking in English, parents like talking in English, and then everything goes in English. So it's like, it was a shock to me when I first came here. Because I come from Bailakupi, like the Tibetan settlement, it's very Tibetan. And then I go to Italy, we have like 300 plus Tibetans, but we didn't have much children. So everybody's Tibetan in everything. And I come here and it's like more than the Canadian culture shock to me when I came here. It was a shock, the Tibetan community was a shock to me, really. So I was really sad. And then like when I see my capacity as an education coordinator going there every Sunday, and when I see these children, when they see me, they talk in Tibetan. And they turn to their parents and they talk in English. So I'm like, it's not that they don't know Tibetan, but if they have to speak Tibetan, they do. So I think like that motivates me a lot when children really come to you and they try really hard to talk only in Tibetan. So yeah, I think I'm keeping up yeah, so that motivates me.
And I wanted to ask Sonamla a personal question, like, because Gesala talked about how even though it's very different, that one is a community engagement through education and cultural programs, and one is through sports, but also you're a father to 2 young children. So coming from Kesala's perspective, like how do you keep your kids engaged? I know your kids are very young, but as a parent, like, are there any concerns?
Well, I share the same sort of parenting issues, and time is always a constraint. So that challenge is always there, but somehow you have to make the time. You have to take the time out and somehow schedule it to fit it according to your needs, and then try to be with your family and your kids or what have you. So that you have to sort of juggle out, but it's really hard to do it when you really have to execute on your commitment that you've made to the soccer camp or to the TCC school or what have you. So that challenge, I think, will always be there. We just have to work around it, I think,
And is there any, and I wanted to ask as well, are there any ongoing projects at TCC, which is also called the Canadian Tibetan Association of Ontario, so it's CTAO and TCC.
Yeah.
If there is any ongoing project that you want to raise awareness, like, educate people about?
Absolutely. We have a very big project, and it's a renovation project. So I won't go into very much details because it's all on the website. The renovation project that we are currently working upon is a $3.3 million project, and it's just the phase 1 of the renovation project. So under this renovation project, what we are planning towards is it's very sad as a Tibetan to see we have like big precious statues of the Buddha, the Guru Rinpoche, and it's covered in the back, and we don't have space to have our statues in front of us to give our respect, and it's very sad. So the main work that the renovation project is planning to do is raise the roof of the Tibetan Canadian Community Center and then unveil those precious statues and make it accessible to people to show their respect and lean on to for anything. Yeah, so that's one thing. And then we are also planning upon making a multi-purpose hall where basically speaking, when right now we have the Tibetan Community Center, there is a big gap there. We have children coming to the language school, and we have older adults, Tibetan seniors, who come to offer their prayers and engage in community events and all that, but we have this missing part of the society. The Tibetan youth, say about like from 18 to 40, like 30, 40, 18 to 30, let's say, they don't come much into the Tibetan Canadian Cultural Center because they don't see like
there's no space for
them. There's no space for them. So while creating this multi-purpose hall, we are planning to have a lot of opportunities for the Tibetan youth to also be engaged in the center. And then we are also planning to build some classrooms, at least some classrooms, if not all. And then we are also planning to have some space for office at the Tibetan library. So all these things encompasses a project, and we call it a renovation project. And we have made like raffle tickets, we have piggy bank campaign, we have lots of campaigns going on, lots of requests to help support this project by many ways, and all the detail is in the website. So I would really ask people to support.
So all the details to support the Tibetan renovation project, Tibetan Community Center renovation project, will be on the website and on the screen. So please support. And any last words?
It's very simple and straightforward. If there's anyone out there with skills and you have passion, please contribute and give back to the community. During that process, I think kids will benefit from it, and keep them off the street, let them be engaged and be productive. So. All
right, with this we have come to the end of our segment. I want to thank all the audience and our guests, Kesnula and Sonamla, for coming. I hope through this segment, especially our third and fourth episode, I hope we're able to provide you a glimpse into the Tibetan community here in Toronto. And I want to especially thank all the guests for their dedicated, tireless volunteer work. It takes a toll on personal, on their personal life, but still there's undying passion for community work. So I want to thank everybody for being a part of it. Thank you, Latish.